What up? This Mongo. I want to make a short video today talking about Braun Strowman winning the Intercontinental Championship from Shinsuke Nakamura on the SmackDown January 31st, 2020, and why this is a bad thing. All right, this is a very bad thing for Braun Strowman because the Intercontinental Championship is the workers' title. It's sort of the step up for the World Championship. In some instances, it's kind of a ceiling for most people, but for a lot of smaller guys, this is the first step to being the WWE champion. It's kind of like being in an audition. Brett and Sean are notable for being the guys who really kind of moved from the Intercontinental Championship to the WWE title. But for Giants, it's not the same thing. For Giants, it's usually the ceiling. When you are or it's the end of. Um, there's a lot of there's a lot of there's a lot of examples of this. For starters, Umaga was pushed as a superstar monster heel who had beaten everybody in his path, and then the moment he won, he lost to John Cena, and once that happened, it was pretty much assumed that he was never going to be a top star, that he was never going to be the guy, he was never going to be the champion. So they made him the Intercontinental Champion, and that did. I mean, he was great in the role. I mean, he did really good with the title, but he never went beyond that. Rusev is another one. Rusev, a big guy, was pushed as a monster heel, unstoppable, unbeatable. The moment he won the U.S. title, that was kind of it, because he got beat by John Cena. Not immediately after that, but not shortly thereafter. Ryback was another one. Ryback was being pushed as a big monster. He destroyed everybody, undefeated. He lost his big run against CM Punk. He lost a bunch of other matches, and next thing you know, he's the Intercontinental Champion, and that's the highlight of what he did. So there's when you look at the guys who were pushed as monsters, superhuman in a sense, and then looked at whether they was labeled with the Intercontinental title, there's not a lot of them. I mean, there's a lot of them, and that was pretty much it. You have some instances where you see it. Basically, Kane and Big Show are the two notable examples of guys who won world titles and then also won the Intercontinental Championship or some type of mid-card title. JBL is another one, but JBL had been around forever. I think he might have been the European champion before he was a WWE. But when the JBL character was created, he didn't win any mid-card titles. He won the world title first. And then when his run as the world champion was over, he started winning mid-card titles, because that's kind of like the cap as far as, okay, this is how high you go now. This is your ceiling. And for big guys, that's really the death knell, because usually you don't get hit with the mid-card title until you've been around for a while and you're not really connecting. And it's really sad, because the pattern, and the pattern could always be wrong. People could defy the pattern, but I don't really see it when you look at the people who never won the Intercontinental Championship. Brock Lesnar, Undertaker, Batista, Andre the Giant. They never put Bam Bam Bigelow, King Kong Bundy. They never put the title on big guys. Earthquake, never an Intercontinental Champion. Yokozuna was never the Intercontinental Champion. Vader was never the Intercontinental Champion. They've always pushed big monster heels in certain roles, and the workers title is not really that role. And then if a guy, I think Diesel might be the only one. Diesel in '94 won the Intercontinental Championship, and then he was the world champion in '95. That might be the only time I can think of off the top of my head where a major monster type of big guy character won a mid-card title and then went on to do bigger and better things. Psycho Sid was never the Intercontinental Champion. There's a certain way that people view these titles and view the people who hold them, and I think Braun Strowman is falling into this hole where he didn't beat Brock Lesnar for the belt, and Samoa Joe last year, same thing. He didn't beat Brock Lesnar for the belt. Samoa Joe didn't do anything for months. Next thing you know, he's a U.S. champion, and then he's doing commentary. He was a U.S. champion. He lost that belt, and he was doing commentary. So, and Samoa Joe is coming. He's starting to kind of come back in now, but I don't think he's ever going to get there, because when they push you as a top guy, as a big monster heel waiting for you to connect with the audience, and it doesn't really work, the sheer sign of they don't give a shit about you anymore is that they make you the Intercontinental Champion or the U.S. Champion or something like that. Because then at that point, you're just holding the belt to put over somebody else. So that means that Braun Strowman is the Intercontinental Champion right now. And he might defend it a couple of times. He might be more visible with it than Nakamura was. Nakamura was just kind of a placeholder because they didn't have anything to do with anybody. SmackDown wasn't using anybody at the time. It has nothing to do with Nakamura. It has everything to do with the booking of Nakamura. But I think that Sheamus just has the belt to either lose it to Baron Corbin or to lose it to Sheamus. And that's really the only reason he has the belt. He's not going to be champion long. He might be champion until WrestleMania, and that's it. Lashley, last year they did the same thing with him when they made him the Intercontinental Champion, just to take the belt from him and give it to, just so they could have the Demon appear at WrestleMania and win the title back. These patterns and are very visible to somebody who's been watching the WWE as long time as I have. And the titles, they mean something. You know, there's a symbolism when a guy is given a mid-card title. For some people, it is to kickstart their career, to kickstart their push. For Andrade, it might be to kickstart his push to be made the United States champion. And for him to beat Rey Mysterio for it, who is a legend. You know, that might be to kickstart his career. For somebody like Rey Mysterio, it might be to keep him credible, to keep him relevant. So you make him the U.S. champion. Same thing with Shinsuke Nakamura, a guy who's kind of nearing the end of his career, or he's a little over the hill. You kind of make them the mid-card champion to give them some credibility so that they can make somebody else. And maybe that's what they were doing with Nakamura, is they just have him hold the belt for a lengthy amount of time so that people could really pop and get into it when Braun Strowman or somebody like that took the title from him. And now that that's happened, you know, Braun Strowman just has the belt to lose it to somebody else. And you could say, well, isn't that everybody? Doesn't everybody just have the belt? It's like, no, some people have the belt to have a run with the belt. You know, like Cody. When Cody was the Intercontinental Champion, he was trying to make himself during that run. And they were trying to help him make himself during that run. And then he lost to Big Show, right, at the WrestleMania. Just to win it right back the next month. Because Big Show is a giant. He should not be the Intercontinental Champion. So these types of things matter, and if you're paying attention, you can see it, and it's plain as day that Braun Strowman, the way that they view Braun Strowman now, is as a probably upper mid card babyface who will probably never really be in the main event, or if he does be in the main event, it's probably be through some type of chicanery or through desperation. Because that's what happened with Diesel, right? Diesel was a desperation move because the smaller guys were not drawing. So they really just tried to thought like, oh, well, size wins, so we just put the title on the big guy. And they got stuck with him. But mid-card titles don't really work on giants. It's not a good idea to do it because now you have to worry about getting the title off of him. And people don't want to see giants get beat all the time. Giant heels, yes. But giant baby faces, no. And the only way for Braun Strowman to really lose the title and maintain credibility would be to lose it to another giant or to be cheated by somebody who is nearly as big as he is. So it has to be Baron Corbin or Sheamus who are going to win the title from him, probably at Super Showdown. It's not going to be a long run. It was there. They did it for the pop and to get the title off Nakamura. Maybe they're going to do something with Nakamura and Sami Zayn or something like that. But Strowman does not have the title to run with it. He's got the title to lose it to somebody who is nearly as big as he is, but probably just needed the push. And from the looks of things, the Baron Corbin segment, the end of the show that he was covered in dog food, he's probably going to need to get reheated. And usually, Baron Corbin also won a mid-card title. He was the U.S. champion. And we saw that he also won the Money in the Bank. They did not see him as a top guy. Otherwise, when he won the Money in the Bank, he just would have won the title. Right? He didn't win the title because they don't view Baron Corbin as being a top guy. Or the top guy, the top heel. Even though he's kind of been positioned as a top heel since like November. But I think he's about to get the kiss of death too, which is getting the Intercontinental Championship. And it might work with his gimmick and his character. He might do really well with it. but I don't see him being the top heel. I see Baron Corbin as kind of like what Wade Barrett was, a big physical heel, but is not the top heel. Obviously, he can't be the top heel because The Fiend is the top heel. So I definitely, this is why I think it's the kiss of death for Braun Strowman. You usually don't put the mid-card title on giants. It is a bad idea. Every time they do it, I just know that guy is not going anywhere. And I ended up usually being proven right. That the guy never really gets it beyond the Intercontinental Championship. And maybe, Strowman's in for the long haul, as far as I know, with his contract. So maybe in a couple of years. But I don't see Strowman losing the Intercontinental Championship or having this great run with it and then moving on to fighting The Fiend. Even though it would make sense for him to fight The Fiend because The Fiend remembers. And that's kind of his gimmick, that he fights people that used to be affiliated with Bray Wyatt. And the fact that they didn't even go back to that, the Fiend versus Braun Strowman, tells you that they really don't give a shit about Braun Strowman. And maybe they don't give a shit about the Intercontinental Championship. But ultimately, it's really a bad idea. All right, so like, share, and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.